All right, welcome to a new episode of Real Estate vs. Technology. I'm your host, Norman Kinsey. We have a co-host, Mr. Dan Gandy. Welcome, Dan. How are you, sir?
Doing well, thank you.
Is the anticipation killing you or what? I know you're like less than 24 hours when this was recorded to having baby number 2. So I can only imagine. How are you doing, Dan?
I'm hanging in there. A little nervous, but we're getting excited, and this should be the last one. So off to the races, right? So
good for you, man. Congratulations before the little one comes. And so before we go ahead and introduce who we have today, we want to go ahead and encourage everyone to like the episode, subscribe, hit the notification bell, as it is our intention for you to take things from our podcast episodes to apply to your business, have more massive success. So today we're going to go to the Bay Area of California, and we have someone that actually is an expert in real estate. And not only that, her being an expert in real estate, we'll dive into that, got her the opportunity to be able to write in the Newsweek and also into the Entrepreneur publication. So today we have the one and only Kaajal on Real Estate vs. Technology. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much. Happy Monday.
I know, right? It is a Monday. Happy Monday. It's always, I like the people that put the quotes that like change it up. So it's like, everyone's like, oh, case of the Mondays. And they use that for like Monday motivation.
Totally.
I love it. So, well, thanks so much for joining us today on Real Estate vs. Technology, as the episode's all about you, your business, give individuals that follow you online a different perspective. And then for us to really understand, like, what have you done to have the success that you've had to be an expert? So we could share that with this amazing real estate community to keep it moving forward, right? Let's keep it going. So let's get into your story about how long you've been in the business and why the heck real estate?
Yeah, for sure. So, so 19 years, I've been selling real estate for 19 years now. I graduated college. I went to UC Irvine, majored in econ, thought the corporate world was going to be my place to be. I thought it was, so exciting. And I, heard my friends taking work travel trips and all that fun stuff.
Yeah.
So I know that I'm going to take a stab at that. So I actually worked for Wrigley Gum in their marketing department in downtown Chicago. I know.
That's cool.
Very cool. Actually, they flew me out there and said, hey, well, if you want to try it out for a year, we'd love to have you. I thought it was the coolest thing in the world at 22 years old, downtown Chicago, the best city, by the way, if no one's ever visited or lived there.
Never been. I'm going now.
So it's fantastic. And at 22 years old, I thought I was going to be the best employee in the world, but I just could not stand my 9 to 5. I could not stand it. I would walk in at 9:01 and leave at 4:59. I'm like, God, that just, it doesn't feel right, but I don't want to be here, So I got my real estate license actually in California before I left for Chicago. My entire family's in real estate, mom, dad, uncles, aunts, the whole bit. Yeah. The only one that's not in real estate is my husband, who's a chiropractor. And, but at the time I said, hey, I'm just going to get my real estate license as a backup. My parents they never encouraged me to get into real estate, honestly, but it's so funny because 19 years later, I see the pros and cons. There's definitely more pros, but the cons, like right now with the transitioning market, it's, if you haven't been through this before, it's brutal for someone who's been in it for 19 years. I can't imagine as a brand new agent. So anyways, side note, spin off, but
no worries.
So 19 years later, I remember in 2001, I got my California real estate license. 2002, I moved over to Chicago and I said, hey, you know what? I'm going to get my real estate license and just, maybe I'll buy myself a condo. That's kind of how it started.
Yeah.
6 months into my Wrigley job, I one day said, I can't do this anymore. I'm just going to get into real estate. Like, what's the worst that's going to happen? I have no responsibility. I wasn't married. I had no kids. I'll move back home. No big deal. I got my license. I walked into the swankiest Remax office in Old Town Chicago. I still remember what I was wearing because it was like such a stitch in my life. And I walked in and I said, I'm a new agent and I want to work here because the only thing I could think of is I liked the location and the look of the office. And I walked in and the broker said, you know, and I still remember, I'm going to actually give that broker, Janice Corley in Chicago, a shout out, because it was literally, she was available. She said, I think you can do this. I think you should quit your day job. And I'm going to introduce you to our top listing agent in the office. And he just happens to be looking for a buyer's agent. Do you want to start? And it was literally that. And I said, sure.
Wow.
And I think if I overthought that, I would have never done it, because going from a 9 to 5, you're 22, I think my salary at the time was like 40K or something. And I'm like, oh, I'm kind of comfortable. You know, Wrigley was actually helping me pay for my really cool apartment downtown. So I was willing to give that all that up. But I think if I overthought it, I would have never done it. So I met the top listing agent. His name is Roger Lott, still my mentor. Love the guy. And he was just maybe interviewed me for probably like 10 minutes and said, okay, do you want to start tomorrow? And I literally was like, whoa, I need to quit my job first, you know, let me get there. But I literally started the next week, and he just threw me into it. He had listings, he didn't work with buyers, and it was so on the job training. So I became a buyer's agent. My first year, I sold 36 homes only to buyers. And 36 was a lot, but I do have to.
Yeah.
A lot of buyers.
A lot of buyers. But it was downtown Chicago, first time home buyer. A lot of the buyers were, I'd say majority were his leads that came into his listing, and I would procure the sale and kind of help the buyer end of it. So I was being given leads as a buyer's agent. But I enjoyed the heck out of it. It was so fun. And then fast forward, I did that for 3 years in downtown Chicago. Then in those 3 years, I ended up getting married, and my husband and I moved to California, which is where I basically had to restart my career, because the Chicago market, California market, polar opposites.
Yeah.
So, and then the rest is history. So I started in California, and between 2005, 2006, I sold 0 homes the first year. I swear I thought it was the end of the world. Yeah, it was like 36 deals to none. And you feel like a pea, you know, you feel like, what happened? I thought I knew my stuff. Like, what happened? But the market is just so different in California. So different. The pace is so different. The mentality is so different. I never, ever in Chicago my clients never asked me to credit the money back. And how much are you going to give me in closing costs? And it was very simple in Chicago. And then moving out to California, it was a whole different world. So a year later, I finally sold my first home in California.
Congrats.
And after that, you know, it filtered. And back then there was no technology, right? We didn't post on social media. We didn't buy Zillow leads, none of it. And so I just did the good old farming with postcards and the door knocking. And my husband actually did cold calling for me while he was opening his chiropractic clinic. Yeah. So that procured, and then year 2 got better, year 3, and then the rest is history. And I'd say then the market crashed, right? 2010, 2012, that whole thing happened. But it's so funny because going through that, that was such a transitioning market. And then every year it's a transitioning market. But I think what we're in right now, it's just another transitioning market. But it's funny how everyone is just freaking out.
That is awesome. What an amazing story to go from, here's a job. You want to work here? Yeah, sure. Next, you know, you're working for like a very well-known, like, you know, candy gum company, I guess you could say. And then you go and like same thing for the real estate side. And then you had to learn the hard knocks. And I can imagine like for ego wise, like when you've already done 36, you know, how you had to put your ego aside and be like, okay, I could do this from 0 to get to where I am today. And congratulations for you to go through that. And still make it happen. It's funny because we're real estate versus technology here. So you talked about some of the traditional real estate, you know, door knocking or sending out mailers or making phone calls to now at tech. And I can see you on social media. You're doing an amazing job. And for the viewers and listeners, we're going to get to this whole Newsweekly and entrepreneur, you know, business later on in the show. So stay tuned. So I got one more question, and we'll let Dan kind of dive into the tech behind everything that you're doing now. So would you say that like now with technology, as we transition to that for the mix-up round, has it helped you really be able to reach a broader audience quicker compared to like some of the traditional ways of marketing yourself back when you first got into California?
Absolutely. Yep, absolutely. And God, I don't even remember what year I started doing like Facebook posts. And God, I think I'm fairly new to Instagram. I'm sure there's listeners out there that have been doing Instagram since day one, but yeah, so it took a while because I was so used to just like, oh, you know me, you want to use me for real estate, let's do this. And that was it. It was a lot of referrals. It was a lot of word of mouth. I think I had a Yelp profile when they first did, right? I think I had maybe 5 reviews. And God, if someone has 5 reviews now, you're like, oh God, I need to hit the 100 mark. You know, there was so much to catch up to, but I never obviously lost sight of the personal touch of it. And the funny part is I know this is a tech podcast. I still do my farm. I still do my postcard because it's been so autopilot. Yeah. But now on my postcards, it's like I have my QR code. I have my Instagram handle, I have my Facebook handle. And so it all kind of filters into the social media aspect of it and the tech aspect of it. But it's almost like if you don't have that, you're kind of out, you know, like you don't show up online, you don't exist really. I hate saying that, but it's kind of true. But I feel I was a little uncomfortable with posting and doing all these things way in the beginning. And then the past, I would say 4 years, I put a wholehearted effort into doing the Instagram, doing the Facebook. I'll be honest, I don't do TikTok. And
yet,
my kids are not very proud of me for that. They're like, Mom, you got to be on TikTok. But the social media angle of this has definitely helped business for sure. I actually have, I would say, I was thinking about this morning. This year itself, I think I've probably had 8 listings purely off of social media.
Wow.
Purely. Yeah. And it's people that I don't know, but then in some weird way I do know. You know, it's like, you're like, oh, this person, you know.
Yeah.
And actually, I just went on a listing appointment 2 weeks ago, and the seller really couldn't figure out how they knew me or where they got my name. You know, because I was like, is there somebody that I need to thank for the referral? I appreciate, you know. And he was like, God, he's like, I actually don't even know. He said, I feel like I clicked on something on Facebook and that took me to somewhere and that took me to your website. And I'm like, wow, that was actually pretty cool. So I'm getting a lot more of those. And I'd say that really started 2020 onwards. So COVID onwards, when every single person was online and there was not a whole lot of in-person, and we couldn't, and granted, I don't door knock anymore, but I couldn't just show up to people's houses. So 2020 onwards, I feel like the tech part of my business really kind of took off. And whether it's Facebook lead or Instagram, those are my 2 big ones. I do ads. I definitely do Facebook and Instagram ads. And then from there, I would say Google. I never was on Google. Believe it or not, I was never on Google. Wow. I never did Google. Yeah, I just, you know, I think when you start so long ago, you lose sight. And I think newer agents are extremely good about tech. I think they're so good about just starting their business that way. But I think they kind of have to, because that's what it is now. Yeah. But starting so long ago, to catch up with what you want to do online, it's like a whole different world. So I did get a little bit of help here and there. I do have somebody that manages my posts so that, let's say I'm gone for a week, I don't miss content, you know? So, or if I get busy for a month, or, you know, I had COVID a month ago, you know? So the consistency of it is so huge. And I feel like when I first started, I was very inconsistent. My posts, like, nothing looked alike. Yeah. I had no schedule. It was just kind of like a free for all, and it didn't procure any business. It didn't procure any leads. But as I became more consistent, and now it's like very autopilot, now it's turned into actual business.
I love that. That's huge. And we're going to go more into the details for the viewers and listeners out there. And you made a really good point. It's like, you got to, and there's all these free social platforms in Google and Google My Business or Google Places. You could register your business on there and be found and compete with someone who has 30 years plus in the business or 19 years in the business that has all that repeat referral business. But then for you have to compete and stay on technology because of the past referral business, she's like, I'm good. Well, are you? You know what I'm saying? Like, you better keep up with the Joneses here. So Dan's getting into like CRM tech, a little bit more behind like scheduling. What does that look like for our viewers and listeners? So Dan, go ahead and take it away for our mix-up round.
Thank you, Norman. And bear with me. Internet is being spotty. So there's
always how it works.
It's always, there's rain and garbage going on right now. But where do you see this technology curve in real estate evolving to? Are you trying any new platforms or technology in your real estate business now?
Yeah, so I should be trying more. But I'm really focused actually. So for agent listeners out there, like Tom Ferry is huge with videos, right? So when I listen to his podcast, I'm like, okay, Kaajal, videos, let's do this. And it's more, okay, so you throw that on you throw that on any of your platform. You can, I think one of my videos got like 14,000 views, and I was like, huh? Like 14,000 people actually looked at that? Like, it kind of surprises you. It shocks you that many people would listen to something that you talk about on a daily basis anyways.
Yeah.
Right. We have the same conversations with buyers and sellers, and it's right now, I feel with the market transitioning, with so many buyers and sellers wondering, what should I do? And where are prices going? What are the rates doing? I'm trying really hard to keep up with doing like little video spurts on social media platforms, not just for my own clients, but anybody that's listening out there that's curious, anything that can help them, because there's so much uncertainty in the market right now. And I get literally the same question every single day. So I thought, and it's like, God, if I get the same question every single day, I should just do a little video blurb on it, and bam.
Ding.
So it's, and then it gives you a little personal touch too. I started, little like blogs and write-ups about it too. And then I'm trying to do video with it, throwing that on social media. And if somebody gets something out of it, if it doesn't procure into business, my goal is somebody looks at the video, it educates them. And when they're ready, they'll contact me. And if not, if they already have their own agent, hey, it'll just help them. I'm not paying for myself to talk to a video. So, but it could eventually lean into business. So it's kind of nice. I would say right now, that's kind of my focus for 2022, being more consistent with video messages, which I would never do before. This is like so new for me. I've gotten better at it. I actually realize the time that I probably do my videos, and they're like, the other day I did a 3-minute one, and I'm like, God, Kaajal, who wants to listen to you for 3 minutes about some topic that I was super upset about that day? But I the whole time I was like, there's probably other realtors and other buyers and sellers that have just been through this. But I had so much to say, but it literally was a 3-minute video. But the best time I do that is when I'm sitting in the car waiting for my kids coming out of something. And so I usually get somewhere like 10, 15 minutes early. I'll try to throw out a video. And then when it gets uploaded, it gets uploaded. But on a daily basis, that's kind of what I think about is this, like 10 sellers have asked me the same question, and I'm saying the same answer every single day. There's got to be 10 other people that want to listen to this. And that's kind of what my focus is on in 2022.
I love that. It's so true. And I think Dan's having some technical difficulties. So Dan's actually in Oregon. He's up in the Eugene area. So very lush, gorgeous. Yes. And of course, rain happens as well. But I love that. And I wanted to just, until he comes back with us here, I wanted to kind of touch on what you said there in regards to like, and we say this all the time on the Liftoff agent side that sponsors Real Estate First Technology. It's like, if you're saying it and you're repeating it, then that's a video topip for viewers and listeners. Like film yourself and then be proactive. And a big thing is with video, I think is so important for viewers and listeners. It's like an expert is an authority. And if you're an authority, then you already know how the process works. And I feel like agents forget that, like, if you could just anything that you repeat yourself and you have SOPs and you have KPIs, you could send them that video. They can watch the video and they could be like, whoa, like, okay, like this is what to be expected. She knows her stuff. Like, that's why you're paying what you're paying to work with me, Totally. So, I absolutely love that. So I'll kind of keep on with the mix up round until Dan gets back in. So in regards to like let's talk schedule, because everyone says like consistency is key. So like, what does a schedule look like as far as like, I know you're talking about sprinkling things, or if there's something that inspires you from like meeting a client, you film that content, which is huge. I think and anyone who's listening should do that, because that really, people forget what you said and did, but they won't forget the way that you made them feel. So if you feel something, that's a great opportunity to film content. But from the standpoint of everything I'm seeing on your Instagram, links down below, go follow Raquel. Give us some context. Like, what is it looking for a schedule? Do you have a calendar? Do you have a team behind it? What does that look like?
I do now. So I do have one point of contact for my social media. She mans it all. She schedules it all. I provide her the content, and then she decides when to throw it on. Hey.
Sorry about that. Dude, my internet is like, I just see the Spectrum or Xfinity guy going up my street.
Oh, geez.
So they're definitely working on lines or something. So.
Awesome. Well, welcome back. She's talking about scheduling right now on the social side.
So social media scheduling. So I let her decide. I feel like she's the expert. Let her do it. I just provide the content. So sometimes I'll come across an article that sparks my interest, and I'm like, ooh, do you know that the other day I was reading like Durham, North Carolina is like the hot spot for investment property, or a lot of people are moving there and all that fun stuff. And so I shot her that article, and then I connected with my realtor out there, like somebody that I refer, and just kind of picked her brains about it. And then we'll throw that out as content. Another big one, and this is just being like totally honest. So the past, I would say, month, with the market changing so drastically, like, I know, I feel like I could like talk about like the changing market in the last 30 days forever right now. But with everything that's changing, I started getting like frantic sellers, buyers wanting to cancel their transaction. I've had sellers that are like, ooh, I'm not getting my price, cancel, you know?
Wow.
And it's kind of, you know, like, I'm still human. I don't take it personally. I've been doing this for 19 years. We've been through transaction market, but every time it almost feels like the first time, because you're like, whoa, what happened? Like 2021, half of 22 was insane. Like, you couldn't get someone to not buy a house, right? And now it's like, my listings are sitting on the market longer, etc. So I started getting texts from my clients, and it was actually really like nice, sweet texts, but it was like, hey, Kaajal, how are you holding up in this market? And the funny part is, like, nothing changes in my world. Like, I mean, the pace of what I do will change, but I've been doing this for so long that every day feels like a transition, right? It's like, even when the market was hot and popping, it's not like I was selling a house every single day, right? But the public, it may have seemed like that, because it's like, ooh, she had 15 closings in a month. Whoa. Like, you know, but that 15, a lot of those 15 buyers were looking for perhaps 2 years prior. So they should have gotten into it, you know what I mean? But people don't know the backstory of like what you do or how you do, or what you really, I've had some crazy transactions in 20 to 22 as well. Like, they weren't all happy, hunky-dory transactions, right? Now we're getting a little bit more disgruntled people because sellers are not getting the prices they want. They have to kind of realize, hey, it's not that the prices are going down. It's just that buyers have other options. The multiple offers have calmed down. So anyways, there's so much content there, right? But what I was getting these text messages and just kind of like, hey, how are you holding up in this market? And I'm like, God, that sounds really depressing. You know, and I'm like, wait, I'm actually okay, minus the fact that I had COVID for 2 weeks. But I'm fine. Like, I'm still selling, and, you know, it takes a little different skill to sell in this market. And so the skill set changes. And you got to kind of exercise that muscle that you have, like, hey, remember grit, remember these things that the market of 20 to 22 with sellers, it was like you snap your fingers and a house sells. It's not like that anymore. And it changed only within 30 days. So I was telling my social media manager about how I felt about that text message, because it kind of made me feel like, oh, I felt kind of sad, but I'm not sad. And so she was like, wait, but you're still closing, you're still listing, you're still, you know. And I realized, looking back at my social media content for perhaps that month, it was about the interest rates, and it was about price improvements, which we haven't seen in a long time. So it may look like I wasn't selling. It was just like, God, she canceled a listing, which I have no ego about canceling a listing. If the seller's not getting the price they want and they're not realistic, it's okay. It's their home. It's not my home. It's their decision. So anyways, that text, those texts spiraled me into like, hey, like still throw out the just listed, the just sold, the coming soon. So actually I'm looking at my social media behind you, and that partner week. So those listings, they're coming on the market this week and they will sell. We had to tweak the prices. So a lot of conversations with the sellers happened on the back end of like, hey, we were going to list this home March and April. The prices, not that they've come down, it's just the overbidding has stopped. So we got to price it more attractively, and there's more competition, there's more listings. So anyways, I was telling her all this stuff. And so she kind of said, okay, let's still throw out what you just closed. Like, I think this week I have 6 closings, but the last thing I think about is like, I don't want my audience to think like, ooh, all she's talking about are the houses that she sold. Right. But the second the market transitions, it's almost like people picked up on the fact like, ooh, she hasn't posted anything that just sold. I wonder if she's actually still selling. And so I had to backtrack a little bit, but it's interesting because I think the perception of real estate and what we do, I don't mind telling buyers and sellers and friends and family the bad of what we do either. Because it's not easy, right? It's not like every day there's some challenge. Right now I have 3 buyers that are trying to cancel their transactions. Those are not fun conversations.
No.
But, right? Yeah. So the other day I was like, God, I wonder if I should do a video on one of that, because I'm sure there's people out there thinking about that. And you got to know the pros and cons and the do's and don'ts, and you're in a non-contingent offer. Don't make a short-term emotional decision. So anyways, that's the content part of it. It's scheduled to the point of like, yes, something has to be posted on such and such date for sure. I feel like with the market changes, and not just in the past 30 days, but over time, over the past X amount of years, I do like to highlight the changes of the market. And then I also do a lot of out-of-state investment property for my clients. So if you look through my social media, there are parts where it's like, I did one in Hawaii, I did a few in Texas, I did a few in North Carolina, a few in Utah, but then I have a few that I actually just like really love. So then I'll highlight that, and anything that procures out of that, you know, I share it with my agents out there. Or I'll tag them, or we'll cross market, and those kind of things happen on social media too. But content wise, schedule wise, I feel like if it's not scheduled, you could easily not post, and then it becomes inconsistent, and then you don't get the viewership, and then it doesn't turn into DMs or, hey, I need to sell my house, I need to buy a house, or do you have advice? I mean, sometimes I get messages from people that I don't know who already have realtors asking me advice on XYZ, and I'm totally fine with that.
Wow.
In fact, no problem. It's kind of fun for me actually. But they just want a different perspective. And so I get a lot of those messages. But I think without scheduling the content and being mindful of what you're putting out there, you could easily fall off the track of like, what's your social media trying to say to your audience, and what are you trying to perceive? I've had a few co-agents that are like, oh gosh, Kaajal, don't say you canceled a listing, or don't say a buyer cancel. I kind of don't agree with that. Like, I think it's actually good to see the good, bad, and the ugly of it.
It's what's raw and authentic about social media allows you to be more social and connect with others. And I think when you just try to paint a persona of what you want it to look like and you don't share those moments, you actually get less clients.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. Actually, I got the funniest DM the other day. I did a video, and actually that day I was kind of thinking like, God, I should have washed my hair. You know, like I was like, I didn't, but I was like, whatever. It was really good content. I was on a roll about interest rates or something. And then I got a DM. It was so funny. Like, I actually thought it was funny. And it was somebody I didn't know, but they said, before you post a video, you should probably try to brush your hair or something of that sort. And I was like, huh? Like
Trolling.
Like, that's what you got out of that? But it was probably some 15-year-old that came across my video, like someone who didn't realize the message. Like, don't look at my hair. I was talking about interest rates.
That's super funny. And you thought about it before?
Yeah. And actually the funny part is I texted my content manager, my social media manager, and I said, think twice before you post this video because my hair looks like shit, but I actually think it was good content. And she wrote back, she's like, haha, you're too funny and too hard on yourself. I'm posting it. And I'm like, go for it. It's like,
There you
trust
go. Well, I think the biggest thing, and from kind of this mix-up round, even though I missed a couple minutes of it because of bad internet, is that the consistency, the authenticity, the taking your real estate business and not pushing it onto other people, but presenting what you're featuring and what's going on in your real day life and your business is essential to building out a more robust client acquisition process.
Yes, for sure.
I think that's key.
Yep. And then when you do it that way too, there's no prep. Like, I feel like when I first entered, like wanting to do social media, or like I would sometimes see agent videos and I'm like, oh, how did they do that? Like, you know, how do they do it so easily? And then I'm at this point now that I'm like, okay, whatever I look like, whatever I'm wearing, I mean, like to a certain degree, right? As long as you know what you're talking about, there's zero prep. So you could just sit there and go on a rant about something and it's going to help people in the business for sure. And it's okay that it wasn't. I mean, there's so many times that I'm like, what did I just say? And I'll actually send it to my social media manager and ask her, like, was I rambling? And if I was, please cut it. And then she's like, no, it was a ramble, but it was a ramble about the topic that I needed. So great. So I feel like it's easier when you're not prepping and you know what you're talking about.
There's a lot to be said about that. I think when you can almost feel and hear when people are reading off a teleprompter, or if they've like sat down for 3 hours to go over the script that they're about to say for the video. I think the realest advertising, the realest videos you can do are you just being straight up like, it's coming from here, it's going to come out here, and you're going to all hear it. So yeah, 100%.
Sure. Yeah.
Well, back to Norm.
Awesome. Well, thanks, Dan, for taking on that mix-up round. I know that was the first time in the history of the podcast I had to like go in there and be like, all right,
I got this.
I have like business internet that has like it's like nearly a gig of internet, and when it's out, it's out.
I love that. Well, you came back in strong. And just to kind of unpack that really quick, I think the biggest thing is that I took from it for our viewers and listeners, whether you're a new like a new realtor just getting in the business and you don't have business to like be had, and you have to keep your mental mindset strong, and you're hearing the media talking about downturn, and you're hearing all this stuff about, you know, I'm not even going to put it into existence right now. And then you have someone like yourself who has been in the business for so many years. And then Kaajal, you're like, you know, I'm still dealing with it. I have 15 transactions. And I have someone coming and asking me, oh, how am I doing with this market? It still mentally messes with you to a point where you're like, whoa. And I was talking to someone, his name is David Darby. He's a top agent in the Bay Area. And he said, I don't listen to that crap. He said, we as top performing real estate professionals and leaders of the industry are the drivers. And if we listen to everything that we're being fed, then guess what? We're not going to have that amazing backdrop that you have, or that amazing Rolex watch that you have, or this amazing setup that I have, or, you know, Dan is as well in the home that he's in. Like, we wouldn't have the things that we have if we were listening to all that stuff. So I think that, you know, just to keep moving forward and keep it on a positive note, like, that's
totally. And it's so funny because the past couple of weeks, it's been exactly like that, where it's like, Kaajal, how are you doing? And I'm like, God, I'm okay, but maybe I'm not. Maybe I don't look like I'm smiling. I don't know. And then I have to like remind myself, like, I've been through all these transitional markets. I haven't quit. I almost want to tell buyers and sellers, like, I mean, I was like chuckling the other day to myself, like, what am I going to tell buyers and sellers? Like, you guys are not quitters. Come on, we got this. Like, but
stay in it.
Yeah. Like, come on, Mr. Seller.
Yes.
You got this.
I was last week in Vegas, and I watched like Gary Vee and a bunch of amazing, like Layla and Alex Mosey. They're crushing it. David Fitzpatrick, he's crushing it. And David straight said, he said, I've always had 1 to 2 commas in my net worth in every single downturn of the market. And so I'm looking at Tesla stock. I'm looking at cryptocurrency. I'm like, it is time to buy. Like, this is the money making time. So whoever's listening out there, there's light at the end of the tunnel. Please don't think that everyone out there that's telling you the opposite is true and is right. So the last couple questions before we just open up the floor for you. So basically, you have the schedule, you're doing the content, you're doing a great job with that from traditional to now where you're at. So what does it look like in regards to, like, say, for instance, I saw your YouTube channel. Do you just do like listing video walkthrough tours? How's that working out for your business? Do you do any area specific content to add value to your specific market you serve? Like, what does that look like for your content creation?
Yes, actually, great question. So yes, listing videos, always, every single listing gets a video. I actually, 2022, my social media manager, I think on a daily, she's so good at this, but on a daily will text me and say, video. And but it's so funny because she has all these beautiful ideas. It's me that has to implement them.
Yes.
Right. So that's where I need to really, really, really focus on is area specific for sure. Because I do have my years into the business. Before I would go all over the place. Now I try really hard to stay in my little zones, my neighborhoods, the ones that I know really well. And there's so much to talk to. I need to implement area specific videos. So that's on my list.
Nice.
Yep. And then I think going back to like video, like just like on the fly videos about a topic, her goal for me is to do one every 2-3 days. Wow. I'm probably doing one every 2 weeks, which is not okay. And so that's kind of my goal. I'd say second half of 2022. I think January, February, March was insane. It was so fast. It was so crazy. There's so much content to talk about now, though. I feel like January to March was just a blur of everyone buying and everyone selling and everyone getting the prices they want. And, but yeah, so I think next steps for me are to get more videos out there. And I listen to every almost Tom Ferry podcast out there, and he drills it in too. It's like video. And I remember when he first started talking about video, I was like, God, I really want to do that. And I really want to do that took me years. So I don't want to do that. And so I'm just going to throw myself out there.
Good for you. That is awesome. The event that I went to is Grow with Video Live. Sean has a YouTube channel, Think Media. And he said the riches are in the niches. And they were talking about how you had to niche down specifically in your area, build a tribe. And then with that tribe, you can magnify your voice because you have the foundation to go bigger. So if you're not a celebrity, viewers and listeners out there, then you're not going to have the clout as a Kim Kardashian who could talk about anything and get hundreds of thousands of millions of views. Like, you got to talk about something of value. Yes. Because my wife and I moved from the Bay Area outside of Scottsdale. We're in Gilbert. And I went online and just did Google searching as far as looking for area specific content. It was some random YouTuber that wasn't a realtor, just taking his iPhone, filming all the neighborhoods and driving his car around. And it wasn't even good content. I'm like, where are you, realtors? Like, area specific content. You're killing me over here. So
yeah. And actually, it's so funny because on that note, one of the ideas, so I have 3 kids and they all are, so they're 12, and then I have twins that are 9.
Oh,
and
nice.
and they all play a sport, and they somehow, I swear, on a daily basis, I'll get a text like, hey, Kaajal, do you know a soccer league that my daughter can join? Do you know where I can get XYZ? Do you know where I can get soccer cleats? Do you know where I can get all this dance stuff? I'm like, God, this is my thing, isn't it? Like,
yeah.
And so my one of the ideas also was just to do those it's kind of like a neighborhood thing too. It kind of spins off from that. It's like, okay, Pleasanton, California, where do you take your kids? Like, I'm taking my kids to a water park today, and I'm actually taking my laptop and doing a couple of videos. But
I was at that water park yesterday. It's awesome. The Wave in Dublin.
The Wave, that's where I'm going.
Yes, I know you are. I was there yesterday.
Yeah. So, but that's like the stuff. And it's like, I get these clients and I get I get these questions on a daily basis, but then it spins off to, hey, Kaajal, okay, you just built a pool house in your backyard. Like, who was your contractor? Who was this? I'm like, God, I'm such a Rolodex. This is a good spinoff.
Yep. Attention, viewers and listeners out there, you got to get on it. Like, it's crazy. And you could take your kids, go do a video, showcase the location and everything else so cool about it, vlog your little experience, Give it to your social media manager, edit it, post it, boom. Or you could even do like a 30-second, 1-minute reel and show some of the stuff. But yeah, I just flew back from California yesterday morning, and I was just at the Wave, and I lived in Dublin for 9+ years. So yeah.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. Okay, so yeah, it's a small world. I know Intero, and I know David Asim, I know everyone. So yeah, it's a small world.
Yeah, that is small world.
So before we close up the episode, I would love to be able to leave it with this last question before we open up the floor for you to leave anything for our viewers and listeners. Super random. What do you like to do for fun outside of all this craziness?
Jeez. Okay. So I love to travel, which I'm sure everybody does. A little like snippet. I turned 43 years ago. I'm 43, but for my 40th birthday, on a complete unplanned whim, I said, I'm putting myself on a sabbatical. Have you ever heard of a realtor who puts themselves on a sabbatical?
No.
I'm openly putting myself on a sabbatical. God, I think every person was like, what are you doing? Like, that's crazy. I got a burner phone as if I was doing something illegal. And I left my phone at home. And it was me, my husband, and my kids, and we went to Mexico, Australia, Fiji, and Hawaii for a whole month. I took the kids out of school. I was like hippie mom doing like homework on the beach. It was fantastic. I swear any realtor out there listening to this, please do it at least once in your life because it's so liberating.
That's amazing.
I had this, and I wasn't very good at video back then. This was April 2019. But if I did do video at that time, I would have done a ton of videos on the beach. I would have had a video of me just chucking my phone in the ocean, like jokingly, obviously, but, but it felt great. Anyways,
wow.
That to me was super exciting. Yeah. So I love to do really, really impromptu things like that. It's so funny. So my 9-year-old plays soccer, and I, growing up, never played a sport, never thought I could play a sport. Who knew I could play soccer? I play with her almost daily now.
Nice.
So she does goalie training, and now her and I practice daily. Yeah, it's super fun. It's actually, I really enjoy that, like truly speaking. And it was so funny. My daughter's like on this kick to get me onto a women's league because she's like, Mom, you actually know how to play. And I'm like, yeah. But yeah, so travel, and then little things like at home. Honestly, I love like my de-stressor, or kind of like if I'm like in a funk, this sounds so crazy, I love to organize. So I'll go to Home Goods and buy all kinds of bins, and sometimes they'll just sit in my office because then I start getting busy again. But but that's kind of fun for me too.
That's cool.
Yeah, but those are my little things. My big thing is travel. I really, really, really love to travel. And what really bugs me though is sometimes when I'm super, super, super in like work mode, if I travel during that time, it's not enjoyable for me because I feel like I'm not detaching myself. And so it has to be kind of a mindset thing, but I think that's why I like to do it impromptu, because I can kind of foresee the next like 4 weeks. I can never pre-plan a trip ever, 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 because if I'm busy at that time, I don't even want to go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's when a deal blows.
Yeah. Just no.
Oh my God. I absolutely love that. So we're now at the episode where we want to have the floor open to you, so you can leave our viewers and listeners anything that you want to leave with them. But before, we can't forget about how were you approached with this, like Newsweekly and entrepreneur publication, like to have an opportunity to write in their publications and to do that. So lead with that, and then anything you want the viewers and listeners out there to take from today's episode as we close out.
For sure. So this is kind of goes back to my comment of like, I think for any agents, like consistency is key. I was very inconsistent with my business for the first like 15 years, where it was like, you know, my social media was inconsistent. Besides my mailers, my postcards, that was the only consistent thing in my business. Everything else was like, oh, sometimes I'll call somebody, sometimes I won't. Sometimes, you know, it's like a very like, oh, I changed that a lot in the past 5 years. And so I would say, kind of talking about the business more, being consistent with that. So Newsweek, Entrepreneur magazines, these guys are always looking for content, right? They're always looking for like local expert content. And I think now that everything is so online, they have like kind of a California version. They have like, okay, Bay Area is crazy, Silicon Valley is crazy. They always need content from our area. So I started kind of commenting and blogging and these kind of things. And Newsweek, started saying, hey, can I start publishing some quotes out of things that and I said, yeah, of course. Like, of course I would love that. And that morphed into, hey, can we send you some questions and you respond to it and we'll turn it into an article. So it just kind of morphed into that. But I swear the consistency of posting, consistency of keeping your name out there, consistency of anything we do in this business, it's like consistency. And I've noticed like in a month, if I'm not consistent with something that I do, I feel it the following month for sure. And it's like, God, did I really slack last month? Yes, I did. And it's now, we work in 60-day turnarounds, right? So 60 days or 30 to 60 days later, you'll realize that you messed up in April or May. You're sitting in June, you're like, wow, what did I? So that kind of, I would say with Newsweek and Entrepreneur, they need content. A lot of times it's local content or market content. Like, hey, as a realtor, I think one of the things was just your schedule, not even social media schedule, but just like, I think I want to say it was something about being a parent and schedule. And there's so much to say about that. Gosh.
Oh my God, I can imagine.
Because I swear, if I don't wake up at 4:30 or 5 and get my work done, I'm screwed. It's like all day I'll be scrambling and whatever. And so you go through those days and weeks that you don't do it, but it kind of boils down to that consistency word. So that's kind of where Newsweek, they started, I think that's where it was. I think it was something about being a parent and being an entrepreneur. And then it morphed into being a realtor and how do you do your schedule. And so like my schedule, people know I don't work evenings unless I absolutely cannot say no to an appointment or I can't schedule it during my working hours. And I don't work Saturdays. And that took a lot of effort. And, because you're like, God, I can't say no. God, I can't say no. Because realtors can't say no. But you can say no if you have a schedule, I feel.
I say no all the time.
Yeah.
Me too.
So God, yeah, you will. And what number kid are you on? You said you're waiting for a kid.
Number 2 kid. And then, I work with Norman as VP at the company. And then I also have a real estate team and I'm also a real estate investor. So I keep to my schedule. So when like buyers reach out to me or they want to like coordinate a bunch of stuff or everything, if I notice a client is always last minute.
Yeah.
I just literally tell them like, I'm a really busy person. I have multiple businesses. I'm here to help you, but this is when I'm available.
Yeah.
That's as simple as it is. And if you don't like it, go to another agent. Have a great day.
Totally. And like no hard feelings. Like if this schedule doesn't work for you or I, like no big deal. Try another realtor. No big deal. Yeah. And it took a while to get there, but you kind of have to realize it's okay.
I love it. And what would be the last thing you want to leave for our viewers and listeners as we close out?
Oh, wow. Stick to it. Whether you're year 1 or year 50 in the business, gosh, do what's comfortable for you. Stay consistent with it. And I think educating your buyers and sellers and your audience is so key. So it took me a very, very long time to throw videos out there. Whoever's thinking about it, don't think about it. Just do it. I just watched, did you guys watch Maverick, Top Gun yet?
Oh my God, not yet.
Oh, okay. So I just watched it last night. And one of the it's such a good movie, but it was like, don't think, just do. And I'm like, God, yes. Like you can use that in so many instances, right? But it's that's how I feel about video, because I think it took me so many years to get there. And I'm like, God, if I had just done it when I was supposed to start, I would have been ahead of the curve at this point, which, I mean, it's never too late to start, right? But if you're thinking about it, just throw yourself into it. And I swear it'll feel so great.
Wow. That's awesome. I was thinking about jumping into cold water. I'm like, I don't know how many people, especially in summertime, everyone's like, that's so easy. Like, just do it. Just jump in the water. It's
Like Tony Robbins, like the plunge. Yes.
Yes. Just do it. Wow. This is an amazing episode. And Raquel, we really appreciate you being on today's Real Estate vs. Technology podcast. This is awesome. So thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you. Nice
Dan,
to meet you.
As always, thanks for being the co-host and coming in after having internet issues. That was awesome.
Yeah, I think they got it fixed. He's working on my street right now. I can see him.
But
yeah, no, great to meet you.
Great to meet you.
We love to meet these industry veterans who've been in the business a long time. They've gone through tons of market cycles. They have tons of experience to share. But what's so innovative about your story is that you're keeping up with the Joneses. You're actually way more advanced than most agents that are just starting out, because you're like, I have consistent social media. I'm shooting video. I'm doing all these things that most agents who've got to that success level, they're like, oh, it's not important. They become a disappearing act or a secret agent.
Yeah.
So, good work.
I love it.
Thank you.
Yeah, definitely. And always thanks for co-hosting, Dan. We appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you.
And thanks to all our viewers and listeners, as we hope you took something from today's episode. You can apply to your business, have more massive success. It took her 15 years, past 4 years, to be more focused. So success doesn't happen overnight. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you on the next one.
Thank you.
Thank you for watching Real Estate vs. Technology, this week's brand new episode, and making it to the end, your real one. If you haven't already done so, be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel, hit the notification bell so you'll be notified for new episodes that come out every single week on Fridays at 3:30 Pacific Standard Time. Also, if you comment on this episode and you like the episode, you'll help this episode get out to more individuals. And if you want to join our Facebook group page, just click a link. It's a Facebook icon on our profile page here on our YouTube channel. Join our group page, network with individuals all across the world, and share what technology you're using to grow your business. The next link is to join our Real Estate vs. Technology brand new IG or Instagram page. If you go on any of our stories, you can see who's going to be on Real Estate vs. Technology before it actually goes live on our YouTube channel. And the last link would be if you want to be on an episode of Real Estate vs. Technology. You pick a date and a time. We'll deep dive into your story and technology you're using to share that with other individuals that view our episodes weekly to inspire, enlighten, show up, and show out for people that love to watch these type of podcasts to have more success in their own business. Thank you so much for your continued support. We appreciate it. We will see you on the next one.